Hi guys, Marshall here. Let me just mute this real quick. Hey, welcome. Glad to see you guys here today. Today is live Q&A, so we had some questions. I'm going to get to them right here. I'm going to come over to this place where we're at. As well as I am releasing the safety retrieval guide. In the description is the link. Get your copy now. This guide will be moved to the tools and guides section of Codependence to Confidence. So it's freely available now, but I'm going to be taking that down in about a week, and you'll have to enroll to get it then. So get it now, give it a shot, and let me know what you think. Okay, so let's get to our questions. Okay, so first of all, Melissa, hi Melissa, you asked, let me see, I gotta fix a thing here because I can't see if you're responding to my things. Yeah, let's go down here. Yeah. Thursday's been a good day. My birthday was yesterday. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Okay, now I can see when you guys comment, and now I can come back to the questions. Here we are. All right. So Melissa asks, working on owning my brilliance, looking for an MP3 to combat Impostor Syndrome, doing a lot of journaling. Okay, Impostor Syndrome is the belief that things happen despite us rather than because of us. Us owning our capability, our brilliance, giving ourselves a chance to actually own it, occupy that space that I created this, I did this, this is mine, is essential to breaking out of that paradigm. So you're looking for some resources on that. Yeah, I'll put some stuff together over the next month for that. An MP3, it sounds like, to combat it. Really what we want to do is evolve imposter syndrome into confidence capability. Part of that is retrieving your value from the outcome, retrieving the value of who you are from other people's approval. So because you're into being you brilliantly, mentorship, use the value retrieval guide in that. That's going to support you in getting that back into your life. Okay. All right. So, and then there was my comment, and then we have Iru. How do you manage to keep calm when you're in a crowd of people? This is a social overwhelm, social stimulation, because what your brain's doing is it's going, hey, I've got to do this. I got to do this. I got to gauge this. It's hyper situational awareness. So what you need to do is check in with you. Check in with your body. Am I safe? And then use your 5 senses using the six question method, or the 6-step method that I use, which is there a threat I can see? Is there a threat I can smell? Is there a threat I can touch? Is there a threat I can taste? Is there a threat I can hear? Is there a threat? Generally, we're going to find absolutely no threat. The reason why you want to use our senses and our awareness that way is because we're looking for physical danger. Well, the brain needs to have physical cooperation towards safety or danger, so we use our senses to tune in or inform the brain about what's going on. Generally, we're not in danger. It's extremely rare that we're actually in danger, real actual danger. Danger, most of the time, is about our mindset, the way we're interpreting things. So when you do the safety retrieval guide, you're going to be able to start reshaping your mindset around the unknown, around uncertainty, and take control of what's relevant for you. Okay? Be able to tune into you, do your thing, get rooted in that. All right. Let's see here. So, hi, Iru. Okay, Rosalind, her comment is, could you make a meme I can store on my phone that walks me through the process of dealing with the type of conversations you had during Q&A? All right. Yeah, I'll create what's called a quick grasp guide for that, make that part of the Thrive strategy. By the way, guys, Thrive strategy starts next Tuesday. We're dealing with Law 1, which is about real power. We're going to go in depth on what is called personal autonomy and ownership. If you don't have your membership, you're not going to be able to participate in that because that is for members only. But if you do, it starts Tuesday at 7. You'll have the access information in your email. Additionally, if you want to start in Thrive Strategy, which is all about taking control of your happiness, then get your membership. You go to membership.freetheself.com, which brings up another thing. I created income-aware pricing. Go there. You've got a limited amount of time. You go to the page, you have 2 hours to make a decision, but you can enroll depending on what your income bracket is and jump in, get the healing, get the transformation you deserve, because everyone who's going through this, over 90% of them have experienced radical change in their life. The people who don't get the change are typically not doing the work. But those who do the work get the results. And if you're in this process and it's not working for you, then you show up to the weekly live Q&A on Tuesdays, and I will help you accomplish that, okay? That's why I do it this way. I'm obsessed with this thing working. It works really well, but I want it to work for you too, okay? So there you go. And it's an incredible deal for what you get financially, guys. I mean, mentorship with me, sometimes I'm literally one-on-one because there's nobody else in the Q&A. People charge I charge $350, $400 for that kind of time, and people pay that. But you're getting that at an extremely reduced rate. So it's very advantageous. You've got a lot of resources available to you to actually get in there and create the healing you deserve. All right, so Rosalind also expresses, how do I best support a loved one when they are going through a hard time? Without absorbing their stress into myself, how do I give empathy without carrying their burden? All right. The thing is, with empathy, we confuse absorbing people's pain with being empathic. It isn't. Empathy is about awareness. Awareness doesn't constitute responsibility. What awareness does is it constitutes awareness. It's like, oh, you're in pain. So you can sit in the pit with them that they're in, but then you can also crawl out. This is you prioritizing your space and energy by being mindful about what you want to give. Because remember, in codependency, we are compelled to give our empathy. It's like programmed into us. We should do this. Watch out for those shoulds, because that's not empathy. That's pleasing, that's fixing, that's enabling, that's controlling. That's the codependent component. So ask yourself, what do I genuinely want to give here? And then follow what is light, because sometimes we don't want to. Now, when you're working with the person, you're relating to them or what they're carrying, what they're going through, and then you're done with it, give it back to them. And you can do that with a question or a statement. You can say, if I could, would I give back the responsibility for solving their problem back to them? And if I could do that, when would I do that? That allows you to mentally and cognitively shift your focus away from them back to you. Say, okay, now I give myself permission to give it back to them and give myself permission to pick up my load and move forward. Because a lot of times we feel guilty by moving on. We feel either shame or guilt there. We don't have to. Their challenge, what they're going through, is their mentor. It's their lesson. Give that back to them. Do not insert yourself into that. Instead, retrieve yourself from it. Respect and trust in their capability to solve their own issues. Be there as a listening mind, but allow them to always solve their issue. I'll also post the quick help guide called Help. So we honor our boundaries, where we show empathy and encouragement. We, L is for, I don't remember what L's for, but P is to promote self-reliance. And, oh no, L is for listening, active listening. So that's what we want to do. That's effective helping. Keeps us from absorbing them, allows them to solve their problems. That's the biggest challenge we have with that, okay? And then give it back to them when you're done. Give yourself that privilege, that practice to have that. All right. Okay, so Ellie says, what are tactics to combat loneliness? Which loneliness are we dealing with, Ellie? If we're dealing with internalized or what's called pathological loneliness, then I want you to go into Codependence to Confidence and start the Addiction to Connection course. Now, if you're dealing with relational loneliness, I want you to go into the same course and start the connection practice. This will help start building up connection with you, and then you can start to build up your relationship with others. So let's read the rest of this. Without absorbing their stress into when there's no one to absorb, I feel a lot of pain. Okay, there we go. I definitely want you to start the Addiction to Connection course, in Codependence to Confidence. That is going to allow you to start to meet your needs, because that pain is a result of unmet needs. So that's where I want you to go. That's what I want you to start. So anybody else who's watching this or who will watch this, Addiction to Connection addresses pathological loneliness, love, addiction, and trauma bonding. And it teaches you how to create a connection within yourself. It's the second part of the 3-stage process I use to help transform codependency into confidence. Okay. The first part is called HEAL, which involves a three-step process called the HEAL process, where we transform shame into love. And then Addiction to Connection transforms addiction into connection, so you get more fulfillment. And then we enter Thrive Strategy, where we master or take control of our happiness. All right. And if you're interested in joining that, just go to membership.freetheself.com. The link is in the description, either above or below, depending on where you're at. All right. So Renee says, how can a person be narcissistic to one person and perfectly normal to another? And you have 2 questions there. So I'm going to take question number 1. That is the facade. Okay. Narcissists have a mask. They're dual. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of stuff. And they will be perfectly normal to another person in order to snow them. Snowing means they're convincing them of a narrative that isn't true. They're going to show up a specific way to get that person to like them and give them supply. And then they're going to turn on you because they have a different role with you. Typically what happens is the narcissist will display a very different person publicly and then a very different person privately. Sometimes they're going to bleed through depending on how insolent or how the narcissist feels about displaying themselves that way. Sometimes they just don't give a crap. So they're going to be that way in public anyway. So it's because they don't actually have a sense of self. They're just conforming to what they think is going to get them their supply. Okay. So they're playing a role. They're an actor. They're not really showing up with any authenticity. They're just doing what they think is going to get them the attention they want. All right. Yes, narcissists can have some codependent components. Not everybody is an actually true blue, true-blooded narcissist. A lot of people have hypertized or highly internalized narcissistic traits. I was such one individual, and I had to overcome that, but I was also highly codependent. And a lot of times what happens is, depending on who's running and who's chasing, one will appear as the codependent, one will appear as the narcissistic person. And then when you switch roles, the other person appears as the codependent and the person who is chasing appears as the narcissist. And that's just kind of the interchange of attachment disorders. Neither of them are truly narcissists, but they're so highly wounded that they don't know how to regulate themselves properly without the other person. And they definitely need work with trauma and emotional regulation. Hi, Rosalind. And then, so it is possible for that person to have codependent traits as well. True narcissists aren't going to be codependent. They're just going to discard you. They don't care. So good questions there. But it's very normal to see a narcissist have a persona that is different for other people than you're experiencing with you. And that's because they want to control supply. That is one of the biggest red flags we have to pay attention to with people. They act differently in different social contexts that is largely, maybe even contradictory to other things. You're dealing with someone who doesn't have a stable sense of self or image, and they're manipulating people. Okay? All right. And then Ero asks, do narcissists love themselves? No. Narcissists don't understand love. They do understand pride, and they do understand inflation. What narcissists need supply for is to inflate their sense of grandiosity, to validate their conclusion or assumption that they are very special. The reason they need that is because without it, they feel an intense shame and emptiness. So there isn't self-love going on here, guys, because self-love doesn't produce abusive behavior. What is going on is self-aggrandization and self-inflation, self-deflation is basically what's happening. And so they rely on others to inflate them. And then when that supply dries up, they become deflated. This is where they become angry. They become resistant. They become belligerent. They become irrational. They can become violent, things like that, because they need their supply. And the lack of supply in the narcissist's mind triggers their fear state, and most narcissists employ the fight mechanism in their fear state in order to get control. Okay, whereas codependents, when we move into fear and we need, emotional regulation and stuff like that, value regulation, it's typically what codependents look for. They move into the freeze and fawn components of the 4Fs danger response. So there's 4Fs. This is how your brain responds to a threat. Okay, you're going to run or flee, then you're going to fight it, or you're going to fawn, which means you're going to please it to make you valuable to it, so it won't kill you, or you're going to freeze and play dead. So, we're actually going to be talking a lot more of that next week when I release the Getting Closure mentorship that's coming up. So we're going to maybe actually bumping the next edition of Being You Brilliantly out into July. We're going to put Getting Closure in there. You guys are going to get amazing results with the closure technique. I've been doing this formally for over 7 years, but informally for 10, and seen amazing transformations in just 2 or 3 sessions with this, how it changes people's lives, or they don't carry the burden anymore. So if you want freedom, you want relief from that trauma, this is for you. So I'll be releasing more information on that next week. All right, so that's the end of those questions. Renee, you had posted something. I wanted to respond in video on this. Let me bring it down here to where is it? It's gonna be around here, so maybe it's above it. All right. A lot of things that are real time, huh? Whee. Let's see, yeah. I get into relationships. I get the relationships don't work out. Let's see, it brings back. Keep saying I won't be disappointed and accept him for he is, but here I am in tears now because I wasted my life on someone I never knew. You're grieving. It's okay. The grief, the anger, the disappointment are a very natural part of this process of breaking free from it. Okay? You're breaking free from the fantasy. You're breaking free from him. You're seeing the cost of it. This cost is vital to you moving forward. Pain is our mentor. It points us in the right direction. Your brain is finally realizing that, man, that was a pile of garbage and it hurts. I don't want that. That doesn't mean all relationships are that way, but it does mean relationships with him are that way. Okay? Keep it in context. It's going to work for you that way. Honor your grief. It is one of the most bitter pills we swallow, like Cynthia mentioned. I feel you. The 20, 25 years I put into trying to help my parents, that's a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of loss. And it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to be angry about it because it's legitimate. It's okay to feel frustrated with it, but do not shame yourself. You do not deserve that. You did your best. Honor it. It matters. Okay? Thank you guys for being a part of the community. Thank you for supporting each other like you do. I appreciate you. If you know of other people who would benefit from the way I work, from our work in this group, please invite them into the group. Let's grow this community. Let's grow our impact together and taking people back from their codependency and helping people discover their brilliance. So if you guys need anything else, just comment. I'll be glad to respond. I'm going to run away now off to my son's track meet and then volleyball. So I actually won't get home till like 10 tonight. The joy of children. Make sure you get your copy of the Safety Retrieval Guide. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Again, I appreciate you guys. And remember, you're worth knowing, you're worth loving, you're worth keeping. And I will see you guys later.